10 seconds. Oh, and only 2 seconds. Hey, everybody. Hold on 1 second. I'll, of course, edit all this out. But we are live, folks. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, everybody. John Henry Soto here. Welcome to JHS Interviews. And today is actually, it's not JHS Interviews. Today is Music Makers with BreakTime. Actually, I forgot to put the thing with BreakTime. So JHS Music Breakers with BreakTime. And hey, everybody. Welcome. BreakTime.
Hey, everybody.
A break time is a great time.
That's right. Cool, guys. Welcome as always. A pleasure. And one of the topics that I thought was interesting, I think it came to me when I was doing my thing yesterday night, was about the power of music. Because I think we all have a love of music. I think that's why we're all here today. And not just a love of music, but like I was saying last night, I was like, I don't listen to music. I absorb it. Like I'm hearing hi-hats. I am hearing every little nuance of a song. I'm just like dissecting it. And especially if it's a band that I really love, I just that's how I listen to music. And it distracts me from the world around me, So if I'm listening and somebody's like, my kids or my wife, John, Daddy, John, Daddy, John, Daddy, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, what? I'm out, So there's a power behind that is very powerful, and it uplifts me. So I wanted to kind of see if it was something that we could talk about to kind of discuss how that energy and what that power does. Can it actually impact the world in a positive way to actually make the world better? And if anybody thinks that I'm being dramatic, it's actually an understatement, because I think that music could actually do that for real, So I have just a quick comment. Jillian Torres is on. She says,
"Hey, Jillian.
Hey,
what's up, Jillian?
Jillian.
She says, "Hey, I'm here."
How you doing, Jillian?
Says, "I'm here." Hey, sorry, I said it backwards. Dyslexic.
Thank you, Jillian. Thank you for coming out and supporting.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. So let's shoot out some comments. Jillian, if you're out there, let us know what you think about what I was just talking about, and we're gonna open it up with Sean. Sean, we touched upon it. Who the hell talks like that? We touched on it yesterday, and we talked a little bit about this whole thing. What do you think? What's your thoughts on this thing? As I drink my Java.
So, John, I believe that we may be long removed, like distant, well, not so distantly related, because I get the same way with my music. Definitely, when I tune into any Beatles album, I just breeze through the whole thing without even like realizing it, and I just enjoy it. And when I'm in, nobody can bother me. I don't let anybody in. It's just me and the music. Nobody else, just me. And to the part about it being dramatic, it's just the human condition. Music is a universal language, and that probably lends to the fact that it lends to the effect that it has on people, because even if you're singing a song like in another language, like people sing, for example, Beatles songs all over the world, like Russians and Japanese people, and like people in Africa singing Beatles songs or something, like they all have a connection to it, even though they might not even know what the lyrics actually mean. But I remember that Paul McCartney was in Russia one time, and he was talking to somebody backstage, and he said, "Hello, goodbye. Hello, goodbye," and he thought that meant hello. And he said, "I love the songs. Hello, goodbye." Kind of like aloha.
That's funny.
It's just
just on that, on the language thing that you just mentioned. It's interesting because my wife she's a teacher now, but she also was in a Peace Corps, and she traveled around the world and stuff, and she was in Kyrgyzstan, which at the time was really, really bad, and I think now it's actually a little worse. But she was teaching there in Kyrgyzstan, and she said that a lot of the people there learned English listening to American music. That's how they learned English. They would just get the records and they would figure out what the words meant. They would use the liner notes and read the lyrics, and that's how they actually learned English. So you're right. There are people all over the world who are, hello, goodbye. That's totally cool. That means hello and goodbye.
Exactly. It's just a different form of aloha. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Exactly. It just lends to the effect that music has, to the point where, think about it, the first two satellite broadcasts around the world were one, the Beatles with Our World, the performance of All You Need Is Love, and the second one was in the 70s, and that was Aloha from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something about music. It just has an impact like no other. Like there's just something about the music and the power that it, just getting philosophical about it, that it just leads to things like uniting for like an activist purpose. Like, for example, we talked about Live Aid. We could talk about Farm Aid. We can talk about what else can we talk about, really? We could talk about the We Are the World, when We Are the World was recorded, and
right, I was
millions of dollars were raised, for the African, the original purpose, relief in Africa, and the second purpose when it was re-recorded for Haiti. It's hard to describe, but there's a huge dramatic impact that just the nature of music lends itself to.
Right. And it is kind of a dramatic thing, because when you think about it, there is no rational explanation why not every single person is born and picks up an instrument and plays it. You know what I mean? It's like, you would think if it's so powerful, right? Because it is. But for some odd reason, there's only a selected few that actually are just decide to kind of take it to the level, to a bigger level where they can actually perform in front of audiences and write songs and bring joy to the world. Why is that? I have no freaking idea, but for some reason
I tried to explain it, but I took like 4 minutes to do so, and I couldn't find it. So
yeah, exactly. Tommy, maybe you can help us out here. What do you think?
Help us, Tommy.
Well, I don't know how much help I can really be when it comes to like explaining, that aspect of music, but yeah, it's just, music also has, especially word music with lyrics, has a message to it. Like Tom Petty's "I Won't Back Down" is a great example of it, because when you listen to it, I'm not gonna back down. I'm not gonna let anybody push me around. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep going and try to get to where I want to be, or do whatever I want to do, whatever the case is. And it inspires people, basically, and it's just even that, inspiring people, to do different things, even especially with learning music, but and songwriting and different aspects, of life and all that.
And it has been doing that for a very long time. You know what I mean? Like, since man can go, there's been music, there's been some kind of rhythm there, a long time. And you wonder like how that came about. You know what I mean? Like, what was go ahead, Sean. What were you
gonna say? Sean?
Speaking of the messaging aspect that Tommy, you were alluding to there, I agree with what you said, John. Since the beginning of time, since we've been able to feel the beat inside of us and really band together as a unit, as a community, it just reminded me of, you can look up word charts, like word art, exactly, like different lyrics from certain artists, and you could see which lyric by its size was the most used. And again, going back to the Beatles, if you look at their most used word,
Right.
by a long shot, it's love.
Mm-hmm.
And the times really dictate the music really follows the times, and there's no better example than what the Beatles did. You know, they grew up with the generation of listeners that they impacted, and the listeners impacted them when they saw these movements. They wrote about them, and you know, Summer of Love comes around, and what happens? They respond to it with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And if you just look all through the 60s, it's all about love and the changing times and the capacity of artists, musicians to change with those times and respond to what's going on in, as Joey would say, the cultural zeitgeist.
Right. Well, I also think that it plays a big part in like whatever the political world was in at that point. You know, we're looking at the 50s baby boomer generation. The war is over. All these, you know, soldiers coming home, having families. They could be a one household income. You can have one person working and the wife can say that whole revolution or whatever was going on there. There was a certain sense of control of like, let's control this. Let's make these communities and these little box houses in these grand estates, and we'll sell everyone house and we'll sell them microwaves and everyone will live like this. And you work in a job and you come out at 5 and you're home and you get your slippers and you have your dinner and you get your weekends off. You got 2 weeks. That all started during that period, you know, or it became popular during that period. And kids in the mid 60s, they were born during that time, so they're rebelling against this control and against this thing. And by the time the 70s came along and you had bands like, you know, the Beatles and all the other ones that came out, it was all about protest. And probably the earliest that I could think of, even before the war, was the Weavers. I don't know if you guys heard of the Weavers. The Weavers were Pete Seeger. You ever heard of Pete Seeger? Old guy. He's gone now a couple years now.
Yeah.
So he started originally.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, he started originally with the Weavers and stuff. He's like a big Bruce Springsteen is a big fan of his music, and I'm a big fan of his work also. And he did spectacular things in his life. Like if you want, there's a documentary on him. If you watch documentary on him, you're just gonna be like, wait, what? Like he was one of the first guys to get up there and sing a protest song, you know, and he got a lot of flack that people were calling him communist and saying all these horrible things about the guy, but he just would not back down, you know, like Tommy was saying about the music and you know, he just would not back down. He cleaned the Hudson River, you know, not personally himself, but he basically he was with I think it was one of the older folk singers that I can't remember right now. Guthrie, I think maybe one of those guys.
Woody Guthrie.
Yeah.
Woody Arlo.
Well, yeah, the first guy, the Woody guy.
Woody Guthrie. Yeah, Woody Guthrie, I think.
Woody, yeah. And they said, you know, the river is really dirty. They used to have fences on the river. You couldn't even go because they were polluting all these factories with that would just use the water for pollution. So Pete Seeger went down one day and he looked at this water and he was like, well, this is disgusting, you know, because he moved up there to, I think it was like Baldwin or somewhere upstate New York, not too far, like 60 miles north from Manhattan. And he went down to the river. He saw how dirty it was. And he said, you know what, let's build a ship and let's sail it around up and down the river. And then people will come down and see the ship and realize how dirty this river is. And then they'll make a big stink about it and they'll start protesting and they have to clean up the river. So it's exactly what freaking happened. He freaking goes out. He gets somebody to build him a ship, and they're literally nailing this ship. And it's still out. It's called the Clearwater, and it's a ship, and it goes out once a year. There's this huge event called the Clearwater event, and they would sail up, and it still happens till this day. But now there's like a lot of other boats. And he would be on that boat and he would play his guitar and he would sing. And I went to a couple of the festivals when I was younger. and it was just, and people went down to the river and they're like, oh, this place is filthy. What the hell's going on? And they started pressing and pressing, and now all these legal things, and now people actually swim in the damn river, you know, and it's because of one man. People say one man can't make a difference. Well, that's not true. One man can make a difference, and he did it with music. You know what I mean? He did it with music. It was music that really fueled that, you know. So, Joey, what are your thoughts on this as the guy who started?
Personally, like, how music kind of ties into the I guess the emotional aspect of it. I could also dive into the like the depression side, because I know a lot of people have suffered from it.
Yeah,
A lot of people suffer from anxiety, especially obviously with like all the responsibilities that are going around with, like, you know, having a job and, you know, taking care of a family. That could cause a lot of stress, you know, in itself. People would usually like listen to certain bands that created messages to help cope with said depression, like Linkin Park or Foo Fighters. Even, like, they would talk about like real world problems and tackle them in a either just a head on way, or they would do it in sort of a sarcastic, satirical manner. But yeah, that's always what I respected about those guys, is that they could connect to the people on a relatable level. And I think that's what got them more followers, because a lot of people, I mean, everyone has suffered from stress, and, you know, I'd say, like, we've all had a bit of depression at some point now, you know, at different levels. But yeah, that's something that's always, like, you know, I respected about
Ben, hold on a second. I'll be right with you. Sorry about that.
guys like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben.
Come on. Sorry, buddy. Batman's here.
It's Batman.
Say hi.
Batman.
Oh, it's Ben.
Where'd you get
Oh,
those?
wait, you're Batman?
Yeah.
Martha. Did you say Martha?
Halloween come early.
Hey, you want to know how I got these scars?
Sorry, guys. One thing,
Batman.
can you take over?
Yes, I can. All right. So, guys, as Joey said, you were talking basically about the counterculture movement, which is a very big part of music's history. And I guess, Tommy, I want you to expand a bit
No, okay.
What?
I'll be over.
on that. What do you think of the counterculture movement?
Countercultural, meaning like what?
Basically, like punk bands and bands like moving away from commercialism and talking about, you know, just relatable issues. You know, because a very important part of music in our culture is the fact that it's relatable, and
Sure.
being
Yeah.
able to hear a song about a situation that you're in and feel that somebody feels that too is a very important thing
Yeah.
that, like,
Sure.
no other art form can replicate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel as far as, like, you know, like within the, like you said, the like you know, punk rock, I think you were saying, aspect, you know, then them going off on stuff that wasn't, you know, that's relatable, like you said, you know, and I feel, you know, that Green Day is might be a bit of an example of a band that sings about, you know, relatable issues, not just like, maybe not necessarily personal, and I don't want to get like political in this, but, you know, they have, like, you know, American Idiot, you know, like that whole album, you know, a lot of it was, you know, related to politics, I believe, and some not, but, you know,
Yeah.
like straight up, you know, talking about like politicians, but you know, even, you know, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, you know, songs like that, you know, that have a message to it, you know, and that people could still even relate to songs like that, because it's when you listen to the song, as a
So
very
you're
deep meaning.
basically talking about the basically Green Day. They just don't sugarcoat things. That's like a very important part of the entire
Like
movement.
when you listen to them,
That
it
music,
doesn't seem like they're sugarcoating.
some people can skillfully sugarcoat it to get their music on the radio and be popular.
Sure,
And
yeah.
Others make their identity from not sugarcoating things, and they still get popular anyway because that they say things that other people wouldn't say.
Sure,
and
yeah.
that becomes a brand.
Yeah, they're basically like politically incorrect. Especially people like was it System of a Down? Oh, they're very
Yeah.
they're very
Yeah.
just
I was gonna mention them. Yeah.
out there. Gotta respect like some of the things I don't agree with them politically with, but I do respect how they just like kind of go all the way out there with like
Yeah. I mean, Joey. So I apologize. You were talking and I got interrupted, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, no problem.
One of the things that I don't know if I guess it's because I'm getting older now, and I don't. The political stuff is in the music or in an artist. An artist coming out, an actor, whatever it is, suddenly getting this political thing going. I kind of like lately I've been really not liking that. Like it's been a kind of annoying to me. It's kind of because I feel like musicians and artists, we have a purpose. I mean, we have a purpose that we can actually not sway, but have an opinion. But that opinion should not be to try to destroy another side. You know what I mean? It's different when you're saying, like, again, we have, this is like a Beatles show, right? But we got to talk about the Beatles again, right? Because you listen to their songs and they have some edgy stuff where they're talking about some edgy things, but you don't really can identify it with one particular thing. They're not saying go this way or go that way. They're saying this is the way it is and this is my opinion. And I think there are a lot of artists that can do that skillfully and be able to get their message across. And I think that's way more powerful than coming out and saying, like, I'll give you an example is Green Day, right? Green Day comes out and they pretty much just tell you, they're guys that, and I don't know if, I think they're so good and they're so dynamic that kind of, overshadows their actual political views or whatever. But when it becomes your thing, and it wasn't your thing when you started, I think it's going in the wrong way. I think you're missing the boat. It seems like you were coming this way and you're doing it, and somebody took you and they moved you to the left.
They kind of take it too far with the preaching, right? Like
yeah, and the preaching thing is, to me, is over. I don't want to hear it. I get angry when
I can't stand it.
Really, yeah,
celebrities nowadays.
Like if I have to hear Elton John come out and sing, "Good Night, Norma Jean," what I never knew, for a cause. I mean, how many times is he gonna sing this song for? I mean, I love the song; it's a great song, but it's just a good song. It's about Marilyn Monroe. It wasn't about Princess Di. It wasn't about 9/11. It wasn't about all these things. But suddenly a new version comes out that actually kind of relates to all this stuff, and I'm really just not happy with that. I'm like, it drives me a little bit bananas when I hear an artist comes out. We got somebody giving us some props. John, you're the man. You are rocking with your croonies. Support you, man. Cool. Thank you, Cynthia, from all of us from Break Time.
Yeah, thank you. So, to respond to what you said, John, I agree 100%. I believe that the position of the artist is to create and to be uplifting, to provide an escape from everything going on.
Right.
And I have much more appreciation for if you can skillfully craft a message into your song subtly instead of just putting it out there, because anybody can really do that. Anybody can put some lyrics together with a political message and put a couple chords to it and say, here's my protest song. But again, using the Beatles as an example, like you said, think of Blackbird. Like that was a song, commemorating the civil rights movement and the Beatles' feelings towards that. But at first, you wouldn't really equate that with the civil rights movement, would you? You would equate that with he's talking about a bird that lost its wings and is trying to fly.
Right, exactly.
If you could do it much more metaphorically, it's much more artful and there's much more appreciation that can be heaped onto that work because this is art. It's not like a TV news show, like a cable news show,
right?
And that's what people are trying to get away from. And from the business perspective, by doing that, slanting one way or the other. Hi, Corliss. Thank you. You're alienating half of your audience, basically. You're alienating half of a potential buying audience. So it's just bad business all around to do that.
And I think also to your point about uplifting is such a good point because we are supposed to uplift it because what happens is if you uplift someone, they can make better decisions. Because when somebody is up a certain, they're just feeling good, they can see clearly. It's like road rage, right? When there's road rage, the guy is so angry. There's nothing clear. There's nothing happening. You can't reason with somebody that's just in anger. And if your music is just bringing people into anger, I feel that you're doing a disservice to the purpose. It's like, lift them up, give them a little bit of a taste of an idea of something that they can then kind of consume and think on their own. Say, hey, maybe I could be this way, or maybe I should look at it this way, or maybe that's a good point. Or you know what? I like this song because it sounds nice. It's a nice melody. You know what I mean? And that's basically what it should be, and that's the uplifting part. And so I do find, and I think we're all on the same page on that, especially. And I'm happy to hear you guys say that because you guys are young and you guys at the beginning of your careers, and with having such a future ahead of you with that viewpoint, I think it's really valuable, to have that. Oh, sorry, Carlise, we shocked. We're
Sorry,
Carlise. Carlise will be my guest on June 13th, so that's gonna be cool. So I mean, I do think that, and to go back again to the Weavers, they started out just like as a folk band, but then they started kind of getting a little edgy on what was happening in the world at the time. This was in the 40s, so this was way before the war and stuff, or not way before, right around when the war was going to start. And I guess it was escalating at that point. And he himself, Pete Seeger, wrote some songs that, and he made very famous songs, which I can't think of one right now because I'm on the spot, but very political songs of the time, was really Pete Seeger, but he didn't do it in a way that was like, you're an ass, I'm right. It's just like taking this weird thing. It just that didn't work. He did it the way you say it was, using metaphors and using maybe some irony sometimes, using a little bit of sarcasm, being fun with it, having fun with it. I think that's really the purpose.
Musicians, songwriters, we're storytellers. We're supposed to tell a story, not say, hey, you're wrong, and I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
Yeah, it seems that a lot of musicians these days are guilty of that. Like especially in live performances too. Oh man,
they get up there and they start preaching for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, to encounter an artist who just focuses on the music, just for the sake of the music, is very rare. I've seen like Huey Lewis, he's probably the most out of all the classic rock guys, he and his band are probably the most unpolitical band out there. I mean, that's just my opinion, but
right.
Because they just focus on just having a good time, focusing on music. Bruce Springsteen, don't get me wrong, Bruce Springsteen is a crazy talented guy. He's a big influence, like big inspiration, but I don't know, it's just
Last
when
few
I heard,
years.
yeah, it's like when I heard few songs like
It's off-putting. It's just off-putting.
yeah, especially
It's
like songs
off-putting.
Born in the USA where he's singing about like, America and like, you're proud to be in America, but then he's like getting all political like during the
Yeah.
performance. It's like, okay, man, like, what's the deal, like
Yeah.
you know,
And it hurts them. I know that it hurts them because I follow stuff, and I mean it's not gonna hurt them. Like people are gonna go out and see them, but there were a lot of people that I read that are saying I'm not going out to see. I've been a fan for 40 years. I ain't going to go see him anymore. And all right, that's kind of what you take. Of course he has enough fans and enough influence where he's not hurting, and if he wants to use his platform that way, he's allowed to do that because we do live in the America and that is freedom of speech. So if he wants to do that, my think on it is that I as somebody who's been following an artist for a long time, like Santana is a perfect example. I've been following Santana my whole life, right? And I went to his show, and I can't remember what year it was, but it was definitely after September 11. And he talked a little bit about what happened there, and then he played. You know what I mean? But he was just like, he talked about love, he talked about peace, he talked about getting through this, winning, beating the evil. He didn't blame a person, he didn't blame a political party. He just there's evil in the world, and and we need to beat them, and that was his message.
Story, right?
Yeah, and then he played, and I thought, wow,
Yeah, like I could respect that, like it's like, when they do that, even if like, they have a certain like, political opinion, even if they like squeeze it in there, but it's not like too, like in your face, I mean, that's fine, as long as
it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's a little. I think what Sean said is the best way. It's a little off-putting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of makes you go like, I really like you a lot, but can you just sing?
So
that's why I love bands that talk more about like, relatable problems and like kind of rather than like political stuff. Like Linkin Park is like a perfect example of that. Like Chester went through like, some deep shit. and,
right.
And yeah, like I guess he wanted to make things relatable, but I don't think like I could tell he did have like a political undertone in some of his songs, but it wasn't too like upfront, which like I do respect about that.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Sean.
Speaking, we're basically speaking about the activist side of things, which when power is used responsibly, the power of the platform of the artist is used responsibly. It can be used for a good thing, like causes around the world, like working towards raising money for something or some initiative around the world, which is good, and that's very important thing, because that's not a political stance at all. You're trying to help out and do your part as a part of the human race by making sure that we can better ourselves. So that leads to another side of this, which was in the original promo that we posted earlier. Can a song save the world?
Right.
Do you guys think a song can save the world?
I do think that a song can save the world. I mean, we have songs now that, I mean, we talked about We Are the World a little bit, and that was put together by so many people that were just trying to come up with a solution. How can we help? Well, we can help because what we do is we sing. We're great singers. We're great songwriters. Let's put that talent to work, and let's do that. I don't remember too much. What do you call it? I don't remember too much preaching going on during that time, or any blame, or any, and I mean, you guys weren't born, but I remember being whatever I was, a teenager, and just it was, first of all, it was a good song when it came out. I mean, it's one of those songs that after like a couple of months, you were sick of it because the radio just crushed it. They played it like every single day. Then the MTV video, we memorized that video because it was on like 10 times a day. I'm not exaggerating, like 10 times a day it was on. And but it raised a lot of money, and it was for a good cause. And I just thought that was the right purpose to use your art. and to use that platform. I just don't want a platform making me angry about a cause. And that might be. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be watching. Yeah, let's go burn them. That's why did I come to this show? Now I'm like lighting torches. That wasn't why I paid my ticket. You know what I mean?
Don't you go to shows to be happy? That's the purpose, right?
Bye, Charlie. Thank you for stopping by.
Happy.
Yeah.
That's
so
the purpose. Catharsis.
Right. Exactly. So I mean, it sounds so huge to say, can a song save the world? You know what I mean? It sounds so like what? But music can save the world. I know that. You know what I mean? And a song, if a song can really impinge. I mean, I can't think of. I could think of a lot of songs that are just beautiful and have really, changed things. But at the same time, we're all so different. There's so many genres, that realistically one song is going to be really difficult unless it's a really beautiful song that somehow captures everybody spiritually in some way.
All you need is love.
Right.
Ba-da-da-da-da.
And Cynthia here actually had mentioned this one. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's a great song too. I think that was Burt Bacharach, I believe. And another great songwriter with a lot of positive lyrics. That's right, Cynthia. Good choice. So I mean, love is really the key. Love will find a way. What was I saying? Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, Imagine. Somebody mentioned Imagine.
Jillian.
Yeah, good song. Definitely.
Yeah.
Joey, thoughts on that? Thoughts on song saving the world?
Yeah, to an extent, I agree to that. Mostly, like, it just depends on. It depends on like what type of issues I guess the song is tackling, because it's like there's so many different like messages that certain songs can tackle, and saving the world is like very broad. So I feel like a certain song, it has to be like a collection of songs rather, or like just like the music in general that kind of makes it a better place, because it's like with one song, it's like it tackles one issue. So but yeah, that's like my take on it. I think it has to be like more than one.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, because you're right. There are so many different viewpoints that people have, and one cause and this cause. But I think, Sean, the word love kind of encompasses all of it. So if you did have,
everybody knows what. Yeah.
If everyone just cared about their fellow man, enough about, if I can care about that guy as much as I care about myself, then I think we'll be in good shape. A song like that, I think might, like Imagine, for instance, it's a great song. But it wasn't one of my favorite songs that John did, because I thought that it was Imagine, like I didn't think of him as imagining. I thought of him more as an action guy, making it happen, and Imagine seemed a little bit like just imagine how things would be. And so I remember when I first heard the song when I was a kid, and having that kind of viewpoint even back then, where I was saying, well, how about just working towards that, and as the song is a beautiful melody. I mean, it's a gorgeous song. But one of my favorite songs of John is Spinning Wheels, right, where I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go around the world.
Watching the wheels. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, watching the wheels. And I just think that's such a great message and a great song, because it shows a man kind of going through stuff, but still having hope and knowing that he's going to be fine, and people kind of judging him, right? So if you can come, because I think sometimes life is a little bit tougher than some songs make it out to be, and there's a a line, right? Some of the songs are like, you get it, right? And some of the songs are like, la 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 la, and it's somewhere in between there. There's reality, and I think that to me is something that somebody should really strive for. Maybe BreakTime can start striving for that.
A break
And then
time.
you guys will write the album that changes the world. Each song handles one albums, and each song will handle one problem.
Yeah, like,
Cool.
oh, my tea is too strong. Oh, I'll write a song about that.
Yeah.
Sponsor us, Cafe Costello.
So somebody mentioned a couple of things earlier here that I for some reason my attention was on. Oh yeah, it was just about what's his name, Huey Lewis. Somebody said, "What happened to him?" Nothing happened to him. He had a little bit of a hearing
It's like
situation.
a hearing disease, yeah.
Yeah, he got a hearing
Remember
disease.
his last album though, a few months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, he got it out before he could stop holding a pitch. Because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the
and it's
He
such a
probably
rare
had one of the
thing.
most consistent careers, like as a musician. Like,
Yeah, that was pretty sad. I mean, we're grateful that he got out all that great music that he did get out, and bands like that that usually have stuff in the can, stuff that didn't make the album, so hopefully in the future they'll be mixing something and putting out some other stuff. That'd be really cool. So
Yeah. The Huey Lewis in the News anthology.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about what was the other thing I had mentioned, the kind of song. Well, music I know can impact the world. We know that for a fact. I think all of us here can sit at our instruments and lose ourselves because we're just so in love with that moment and whatever it is that we're doing. we just lose ourselves with whatever it is that instrument does for us, right?
Mhm.
And our goal as artists are really to try to get that out. We have to get that out, and we want to make it presentable, right? You won't come out of the gate singing a American Idiot. You know what I mean? It's like you're not gonna come out of the gate doing that, right? You're gonna come out with dun, 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 do you ever want? It's gonna be a little bit more of a loving song or something about a girl or something, and that to me is like it matters. Like we were talking about artists and stuff that get up and get political, and I remember I've mentioned this before where Elvis was asked a political question and he said, "Do you think anybody should be
They were talking about
judged?"
other artists talking about the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
Do
you think they should be
artists talking about it?
Yeah, and he said no. He said no. Every man's entitled to speak whatever they. But he said, "What's your opinion?" And he goes, "I don't really like to get into that. I'm a performer. I'm an entertainer. I'm here to sing. You know what I mean?" And I thought, and I respected that because it made me appreciate that he really loves his art so much that he's not going to take. And we know he was very right. He was very conservative. He loved guns and he loved badges and he loved Nixon and all that stuff. So we know that he was actually very, but he never talked about it. You know what I mean? He never talked about it. And I do respect that. And I think it's kind of like a tricky situation because you also want to make your music relevant to the times and want to inspire somebody to do something. But if you can inspire somebody to do anything, just inspire them to love. Inspire them to love more. That's as Paul McCartney would say. That's my really bad impression of Paul McCartney.
What's a Facebook?
What the Facebook?
Hey John, the albums are this small. They can put it on a chip, in a phone, a smartphone.
What's so smart about it? Doesn't seem too smart to me if it's a chip. Anybody have anything else since we've gone off on like bad impressions?
There's actually a great question that just came in from Cynthia.
I was want to hear my Marge impression from Simpsons. I mean, that was kind of it off.
So the other dimension of this is the fact that music can be a deciding factor in our culture, and it has a very important place in all world cultures and how they express themselves, and it's really ingrained in their traditions, which is very interesting. All over the world, wherever you go, there's traditions related to music, and it's there from when you're born to when you die. It's always there. You're never there without music.
Yeah. Well, Cindy has some interesting points about you guys, because you guys are, you guys are young and stuff. But, Cynthia, I'll answer that question, because, these guys are very unique people. Like, the fact that I met all of these guys, and they're all like very, very unique in the sense that they're just very aware of themselves, and they're great musicians, but they're also very kind, and I think that they have the rock and roll heart and the passion and stuff, and it's just something that's a little rare to run into, and I've always I've been blessed in my life where I've met people like this, I mean, like I've randomly like walking down the street and something happened. I meet a guy and we start chatting. Just the other day, I was canceling my Optimum from my office and stuff, and the lady I was talking to, and so we started chatting and stuff, and I made her laugh a couple of times. Next thing you know, she goes, "Oh, you on Facebook?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm on Facebook." So she's now following us on Facebook, and so following the JAF project and stuff, and it was because I just meet people, and there's something about it that when you're reaching for truth and when you want to actually live a positive life, you're going to pull in those kinds of people. You know what I mean? And so, Cynthia, to your question, it's a freak of nature, these guys. I mean, these guys somehow just are like,
we were made in a mad scientist lab.
So something happened in the water in Bayonne, and somebody poured something in there, and these guys came out, and they're all.
When two people love each other very much. No, we're not going to go there. But
how does that work?
How does that work, Mom?
Something that I profess to my fellow bandmates, because I'm actually the chief songwriter of BreakTime, is to be open. Just be open. Be aware of everything going on. Be observant. A lot of artists like the sound of hearing themselves talk. But when they stop talking and then they just watch the mechanisms of life around them, and they're receptive to certain things from what I call the ether, to get philosophical, in the cultural zeitgeist, as Joey would say. It takes a lot to be tuned in.
A lot of Marvel movies, huh?
It takes a lot to be tuned in, but it happens. For me, it happened when I got around all of my bandmates. When I had a band and I had some structure there, and guys who know the struggles of being a musician and everything in it. And that's why I like John a lot, and we gravitated to John, because I understand John, John understands me, we all understand each other. Having that around us, having that mastermind group together where we can bounce ideas off of each other, and sometimes we'll just inspire each other by something we say in like a passing conversation. Like John, you said one time you had a meeting, and this guy, one of the guys in the meeting was getting a phone call, and he said, "I can't talk to Rachel." Oh. And you said, "Oh, that sounds very melodic. That could be a song title." Just something as simple as that, like responding to the energy around everybody and being receptive of it, and just not ignoring that, deciding to take the ball and run with it, take a risk, see where it goes. That's where I draw from my life experiences. Even though I am very young, and we are all very young, it's just how we interact with each other and how we go about our life. If we see something on the TV, or if we read a news article that we think is, you know, inspiring or something, you know, just stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say also, you know, Joey is impresses me because of his song collections. Like he talks about records, you know, you'll do your record moment or
Vinyl.
and your vinyl, whatever you call it. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
But they go vinyl.
What's a
You know,
vinyl?
I like to touch the cover.
Stroke it on the side.
I'm always impressed because you bring out these albums and I'm just like, wow, they're listening to that. And that's, I think, what Sean is saying, you know, be open to like so many things. And when you're an artist, you want to be open to what happened before you were here, before you started playing this. You want to go back there and say like, what was happening back then that inspired me to do this now, and what, you know, and what's going to be in the future, and you want to be part of that. So I think that that's a big sign of a young group of people just being very open and aware to all the stuff that's around them, you know. So that's definitely
Yeah, funny thing about us, all of us before we got in this band, we're very shy. You never expect us to get on social media and do a live, but
I'm guilty of that.
being in a band together, all of us with that same personality, being shy is not a bad thing, because you'll find that the quietest people in a room are actually the most observant, because they take the most time analyzing and reading the room, finding out whatever's going on around them, and being aware that they're probably much more well informed than anybody else out there about anything going on, and whether it be emotionally, they can tap into like, ooh, I feel something that way, like something important is going on over there.
Yeah.
Or just factually, like knowing stuff that a lot of people might not know and thinking that it may be unimportant, but it's important to them. You know,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And being shy, you probably wouldn't think that I'm shy, but I'm very shy. Like, and I think when I was younger, I was very shy because, you know, just being short and you're in a room and there's a lot of guys talking and there are girls there, you know, and you're a teenager, it's just like, it's brutal. You know what I mean? Luckily I was able, once I got started, I was able to kind of like be comfortable with it. But there is those moments where I walk into a room, you know, and I do feel very, very shy. But yeah, observant. That's how I write. You know what I mean? I want to write. I want to observe people, because that's how I get my idea of what that conversation might be. You know, and so when you walk in a room, so yeah, being shy. You know, my wife is they call it, she doesn't like it, but people say that she's shy. She's not really shy at all. She's a teacher. She stands in front of a bunch of kids and teaches, you know what I mean? But she's not going to walk in the room and be like, hey, everybody, the party's about to start. You know what I mean? She's just not like that. And I'm not like that. And I don't think any of us here are going to walk into a room and put the lampshade on our heads and be the first ones, you know, starting the mambo. You know what I mean? It's just not my style. I'd much rather just chill, see where the party goes, and then gravitate towards a group or someone that I can have a conversation with. And I don't even like to go to parties, to be honest. But anyway, but I'm not even going to no parties, so don't even invite me. But I think that to me is like the essence of what you said. People that are like that are very observant and very open to picking things up. And I think that inspires. To answer her question, you know, that definitely inspires you know, someone to go out and do something, you know. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening with you guys. I'm gonna start flashing some stuff up here. Hey, break time! Follow break time! Break time!
Hey.
So as usual, okay.
I was gonna say something, but I was gonna say, and like Sean always says, ladies and gentlemen, Sean,
a break time. It's a great time.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll probably say it like at least one more time before this is over. But
Probably.
Gotta have that plug.
So, yeah, exactly. So you guys have been doing your stuff and doing a lot of social media, which is great. Are you guys thinking of something new that you guys are working towards? I don't know when the you know, it seems like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and then somebody comes along and kind of dampens it. So we don't know exactly when this is going to be over, but we know at some point it will be. You guys have anything planned that you guys working on? Not just performing live, but I'm talking about just like, with the band as a whole.
Yeah, so everybody in the band can attest to this. We started an initiative a couple weeks ago to improve our content. So we have all this new content daily, Monday to Friday. We're considering adding stuff on Saturday. Not sure about Sunday yet, but we have 3 to 4 story posts every day. We have 1 to 2 posts, actual posts every day. And basically, we're trying to provide entertainment and joy and love and happiness, because a lot of that has really been lost during this time, because it like we've said before about artists, it's been so divisive during this period in history. It's very important that we need to unite as a community, because we are a community as artists and the fans of these artists, that we just need to enjoy the time that we're on this earth, to get philosophical. We need to enjoy time. We need to be happy. Artists' roles are to provide an escape and to be uplifting to people. And we're trying to do that on our social media. So please follow us at BreakTime Live NJ across all platforms, because a break time
is a great time.
It's a great
Yeah.
And with regards to plans, we've been really focusing on our social media, just like my entire spiel said. And we're actually planning on making a biopic about BreakTime, so you can get to know us a bit better, know our influences, know how we came to be a band, and how we became to be very intelligent and mature young chaps.
That also rock out hard on stage.
The four Bayonne boys.
Yeah.
And we're excited to get playing again, because I remembered this from a couple weeks ago on our last Music Makers. One of the Music Makers, that Tommy said, John, when you asked him a question, what are you most excited for, after quarantine? And Tommy said, I just want to play with my guys, even if it's to practice or just to play out somewhere with my guys. I miss that.
I don't even care if we don't perform like in front of an audience. I at least want to get to play with these guys, because at least it gives me a peace of mind, in a sense that I can just go in, have a good time, do a practice, be productive with them, and
well, you guys would definitely going to get that. So I appreciate you guys letting us know that. As always, I appreciate you guys here. Oh, one more thing.
Two more things. The first is we are in the process of writing original music and getting the arrangements together for it. I actually have it all written already. I just need to get the arrangements out to the guys, which requires us being out of quarantine. So as soon as quarantine is over, we're going to get...
if you could please speak this end the quarantine thing up. Thank you.
Governor Murphy. Anywho, the last thing is...
Let's sing a song about it.
Thank you, everybody.
Up quarantine.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I thank everybody who has been here to support us and to provide comments, because you're very important to the discussion that we have going on every week, and the global discussion going on as well, to get philosophical again about the cultural zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist.
Yes. And finally, that is the thesis, the central thesis of my autobiography. You can pre-order my autobiography. It's going to be released in 2064.
And-
2064. Yep.
Connected to your
And-
brain.
If you followed this far,
If you
and
follow
you're
this
still
far,
with us,
I
email
actually have pre-ordered that.
Yo, this
John
boy's gonna
Breakdown
have a whole 20-page research paper up on
at
his bio.
gmail.com. You're gonna get a cake from Judicki, signed by all the members
any
of
type of cake you want.
any type of cake you want. If you want the vanilla, take the vanilla. You want the chocolate, if you want decisive, take the strawberry.
Judicki's, please sponsor this show.
He's
Or take
bakery of Mayo, New Jersey.
Again,
Sarah
pre-order
Smith,
2064.
Yeah, and not only that, they'll deliver it right to your doorstep. You
Thank
don't even have
you.
to go out and get it.
It's
Yeah.
going to be released into the cultural zeitgeist with your support, and it discusses the storylines of the parallel universes in our space-time continuum. Thank you. I've been Sean Manuel.
That's
Have a
reflecting,
good night.
reflecting the modernity
And
ideal
don't forget,
of Generation
rock
Z
on.
and all that jazz.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome, guys. Appreciate it. So I'm going to give a little bit of my spiel real quick. Anybody who's out there, Sarah Smith, if you're out there.
I'm back.
Me too.
Sarah Smith, I know you already ate that cake, so I might have to get you another one. But anyway, if you're still out there, this is where the show is. It's I just had a notification from LinkedIn that it didn't go on there, so I have to call them up again. I did fill out an application for them. They're
Thank you.
Darn.
go live on there. This is my new link. It actually has everything on there if anybody's interested. Of course, you can email me at johnnyrisotto@gmail.com if anybody wants to collaborate or you have any questions on anything. And I started a Patreon account, and so far I have one person. So hurry, because there's only I'm only doing this for 1,000, and I have one person, so there's only 999 spots left.
And if you
He said,
join him on
nah.
Patreon,
Don't miss out.
if you
I
join
know,
him on
right?
Patreon, we
I got
will,
my
we
eye.
will still send you a cake from Judicki's of any kind you want.
And remember,
Signed by
1,000
John Henry Soto.
You can get some gabagool from KP Sorelli's if you want some gabagool.
Or that, yeah.
A round of gabagool for everybody.
Nice.
and remember, I got my eye on you.
All right, guys. I appreciate you guys so much as always. It's always a lot of fun. We'll try to figure out a topic for next week. My name is. Thank you guys for those close-ups. I appreciate it. I'm sure this will get a ton of views at the end of the.
This is going to be a great thumbnail, John.
You are
This is going to be a great thumbnail.
You better get a
I'm
picture
sure
now.
people who are obsessed with eyebrows are gonna tune into this and
Look
and
at
love
Louise,
Right.
think-
Your eyes on the jungle right here, ladies and gentlemen.
nothing beats mine.
Welcome to the jungle.
All right,
What
guys.
evolved into.
Have a good night. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And this is me, and that's my big eyebrows right there.
Yeah.
And I will see you guys all again next week.
A break time is a great time.
That's right. And tomorrow is Zello. Is it tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow we have Zello XL. He's a hip hop artist. So tune in 9:30 tomorrow.
I'm
Peace,
watching.
everyone.
I'm gonna watch.
Peace out.
Peace. Thank you.